What a burger!
You are listening to the Longhorn Podcast. To the Longhorn Podcast.
End zone ahead, folks. Touchdown, Longhorns.
With Danny. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. And Marcus. Does somebody know the number for Pluckers? Released once a week, every Tuesday. Much better than all those other Longhorn podcasts. You are listening to the Longhorn Podcast. To the Longhorn Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Longhorn Podcast, the most popular Longhorn podcast in the world. My name is Danny. Marcus, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, Danny. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing so well. What an amazing Super Bowl last night. The Falcons came home with a resounding victory. I, like Marky Mark, turned it off at halftime, but wasn't it incredible?
It was amazing. I have so many mixed feelings about it. We can get into it. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl today. We're gonna give you your weekly update on Lane Kiffin. He's been a busy man. We'll talk a bit about
very busy.
Very busy. We're going to talk a little bit about UT's recruiting class. Signing day was this week, and
controversial. It was controversial.
Controversial again. Yeah. More on that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the ongoing, never-ending saga of Art Briles being fired at Baylor, and then we've got a new segment, special guest with Infowars owner Alex Jones is going to be on the show today. So.
That's amazing. Alex Jones.
Jones.
I mean, this guy has a hotline on every hot conspiracy in the world. I mean, his research is impeccable. I wonder what he'll bring to the show.
I know he does a lot of deep research and that he is fucking certifiably insane. So looking forward to talking to him. And it looks like, actually, big news. We've got a sponsor this week. So,
yep. Ding, 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 ding.
Drum roll, please. Good. Danny, you want to take it?
Yeah, Marcus. Sometimes I get hungry, and when I'm hungry, I want a little Taco Cabana. Do you ever think about Taco Cabana? When do you like Taco Cabana? When do you think you should go to Taco Cabana?
Like right after when it's the middle of the day, I'm just leaving my defense attorney's office. I probably got bad news. First place I'm going, Taco Cabana.
You know, Marcus, I like to go to Taco Cabana when I've been released from the Austin PD's jail cells, and I'm a little woozy. I don't know where I am. I'm a little drunk still.
Right.
I want to go to Taco Cabana.
So sometimes when I've got $2.75 to my name, all I can afford are chips with a little bit of queso. First place I'm going, Taco Cabana's endless condiment bar. I'm going to eat an entire onion. I'm going to eat all of the pickled jalapenos, and actually going to get most of my vitamin C for the week from that salsa.
I'm not the only one in my family that loves Taco Cabana, Marcus. My daddy loves it, and he told me, son, if you have less than $2.75 in your pocket, go to the salad bar as well, except don't get the chips that Marcus bought or the queso. Just get a handful of the pico de gallo.
Right.
And eat that pico de gallo.
Just eat
and
onions.
some of the dry cilantro.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
And if if you want to propose to someone, nothing says I love you like a whole rotisserie chicken and some of those delicious fresh flour tortillas.
Yep, that's how I did it. I actually, when I proposed to my fiance, I disguised myself as the tortilla lady who's putting the flour balls like in the machine, and then boom,
I love her.
She came in and I just dropped to one knee and I said, "Will you marry me?" So total romance, great place. Taco Cabana, everybody.
And Marcus he's not actually seen his fiance since, but we assume it's going well.
I was working a pretty long shift, so I didn't really get to stick around to hear the answer, but I'm pretty sure she said yes.
Yeah, okay. I want to get on to our favorite subject ever on this show, and it's Lane Kiffin, because everyone knows that right now he's in Boca Raton. Presumably, Marcus, I think he's hard at work, right?
Oh, yeah. He's really hard at work. So Lane Kiffin has been in Boca just long enough to buy a $3 million home, and he is already making really, really hilariously bad, depressing promotional videos for his new school, FAU. And I don't know why I'm surprised. I just thought it would take a little longer for him to hit the scene, but they're already the internet is flooding with pictures of Lane picking up 22-year-old co-eds in Boca, like wasting no time at all. And the best part is he's just smile. Like it's like, hey, like Lane, can we take a picture with you? And he's just like, yeah. And he like gets his arm around two blondes, big old smile on his face. Like he's not even trying to hide. He's embracing it.
Yeah. What did that tweet say? Lane Kiffin, I would.
Yeah, one of the girls, so the internet freaked out, just obviously tracked down who these girls were. And on one of their Twitters, she was just like, yeah, I'd do it. I would Lane Kiffin, I think was the exact tweet. So, all class. That's the kind of class that's why they brought him into Boca, just to class up the joint.
Not been there 2 months. And already, yeah, I agree with you. There's no mustache on. That's the thing that's why he ran down to Boca Raton so he could shed his alter ego and finally just be. Joey Freshwater's gone, baby. Joey Freshwater's on the boat in perpetuity now. It's just Lane Kiffin. Just smiling, arm around both co-eds. I love it. He doesn't wait. He didn't even like let the season start or the summer before he tried to start pounding 18-year-old girls.
Yeah, really puts his excuse for I couldn't coach the national championship. I was just so focused on my new role and responsibility.
So focused.
I really got to get back to Boca. I cannot stay in Alabama one more day. I've got to get to Boca because I got a lot of quote unquote pressing work ahead of me. And this is what he meant. But you know what? I can't even be mad because it's like at least Lane Kiffin is living his authentic life. Like he is being his authentic self. And in some ways, we should celebrate that. My guys over at Pardon My Take, another great podcast, said it pretty well. On Lane Kiffin, all they had to say was, listen, kings stay kings, Kings stay kings. And they kind of nailed it. So surprised, no. Disappointed, not really. But Lane Kiffin doing his things. Yeah, and then the promotional video he made for FAU is like another. That's another. What do you have to say about that, Danny?
Well, I'm going to edit it in here. Lane had obviously not gone to bed the night before, so they were like, "Hey, you got to be in here at noon," and he was like, I don't want to do it in the morning. And so they were like, well, all right, 3 p.m. So they take Lane out there, and it's one of the most incoherent, hungover speeches I've ever seen. It was almost like he'd done so much coke. His tongue, his tongue was so numb, he couldn't speak. And that's because I think he was out all night eating pussy.
Yeah, he looked like shit. I mean, he's pale. He's mumbling. He's like squinting in the sun. I mean, it's not an inspired, like, all right, Al's, like, it was not, to me, it screamed, get me back on my fucking boat as soon as possible. I don't want to be here. And it's probably what he did.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Oh, he was straight back on the boat with, I actually found the girl that wrote Lane Kiffin, I would. It's Cinder Ellie 16. So, just checking out. Here's her tweet. There's a tweet of her photo with Lane, and it says, "Is this what peaking in life feels like?"
Was she talking about herself or Lane?
I think probably both, but we can assume at this point that Lane slept with both these girls. I mean, that's Lane's just. He's spreading the seed at FAU already. So he's a lion.
The funny part about his promo video too is like it wasn't even it wasn't like a let's get excited about FAU football, and it wasn't directed at high school players that he might recruit. It was literally directed at the student body, because the last home game they had was attended by, I think, 5,800 people. So this whole video is just like, hey, what an exciting time. Please come to these games. Come watch the Owls have a great year. in a championship run. He's calling a shot in a championship run, starting with you. Go Owls.
Hey, Owl Nation. This is Coach Kiffin. What an exciting time. Next week is National Signing Day. As we sign some of the best players in America, we need some of the best fans in America. So please join us next week for this exciting season to come watch the Owls have a great year in the championship run, starting with you. Go Owls.
I mean, it was the most. He either didn't sleep the night before or took so much Xanax when he realized the state of the program that he just like hasn't quite recovered yet. Serotonin levels are still a little dipped. I don't really know, but it is not a great look. Not a great look for your first promo video.
Do you think he's just realizing now that that like the Florida Gators aren't actually in Boca Raton, and he's like, "Wait a minute, what?
What the University of Florida is the same? It's the same place, right? I'm in the right place, right?"
You guys, okay. Wait, actually, this girl earlier in that night tweeted, "Why is Lane Kiffin at Club Boca?"
Right. I mean, and it's like the answer is clearly you've never heard of Lane Kiffin. Because anybody that has doesn't ask that question. They know exactly why Lane Kiffin is at Club Boca, and it's to meet you.
If your tweet, do you think he just answered that in front of her, like he was standing over her shoulder, and then was just like, "I'll tell you why."
I wouldn't be surprised if he was like just switching between Tinder and Twitter, just like swiping furiously on Tinder, and like waiting for somebody to tweet about him being in the bar, like just looking for his name on Twitter, sees it, holds his phone up, is like, "Who sent this? I'd like to buy them around." And just like whichever one he gets a hit with first, he kind of goes with. That's how I bet he goes. But I mean, listen, we can talk about Lane Kiffin all day. There was arguably the biggest day in football yesterday. We're actually recording this on Monday today, so Super Bowl Sunday was yesterday. Did you watch the whole game?
No. I saw Marky Mark's tweet or his Instagram message, and he left. And I thought, hey, if How Do You Like Them Apples is heading out of the building, then I don't need to watch any more of the game. Turned it off.
Do you think?
And the Falcons.
My guess is that Mark Wahlberg was like staring at the TV. They were down, 28-3. He's got the 1,000-yard stare. His boys are standing behind him, and he's just like, "I'm going to put this whole game in my rear view," and just drives away.
Yeah, I think that's probably what he did. I saw this thing in this guy interviewing him before the game is like, "So, Mark Wahlberg, do you think the Falcons have a chance?" And the guy obviously misspoke because everyone knows that Patriots fan number one is Marky Mark. And Marky Mark just turns into a Boston cockface. Just right there. He gives him that Boston guy, like, "I'm going to put a cigarette out in your eye, and put on a tracksuit.
Right.
And beat up your whole family." You can't take the Boston out of Marky Mark. You can't.
You can't. I probably looked at the guy, he's like, "What did you say to me? Say that again to my face."
Yeah.
"Say that to me one more time. See what happens." He got soft. Like when he gets soft, but he's like even tougher. He's like, because he's like, he's like speaking softly, but he's like, "Because I'll fucking kill you, man. I'll end your day."
That's a good Marky Mark. If his voice goes soft, he's either about to have sex with you,
right,
or you're about to get killed.
And it's a coin flip every time. Yeah, it's a coin flip. You don't know which one's going to come. Yeah,
Marky Mark's about to have sex with your family, or you're about to die. Those are the only two things that can happen in a situation if he's hit that high range. Have you ever seen the Happening, the M. Night Shyamalan movie with Marky Mark?
Where trees, like where the earth tries to kill all the people? I did not. I didn't see that.
Oh man, you got to watch it. It's great. Zooey Deschanel's in it. That's cool. Marky Mark has to defend Boston. I don't know. You'd love it. I thought we'd have more to talk about.
Is it still somehow set in Boston? It's literally a global catastrophe, but it's still Mark Wahlberg in Boston.
I think he starts in Boston, or I think it's Boston or Philly. But he's proper Marky Mark. It's the funniest Marky Mark performance though. But now they've just cashed in. I mean, they wrote a movie for him called Patriots Day. and it's where he is a heroic Boston cop that like single-handedly hunts down those evil Boston bombers. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting for like The Departed 2, where they just turn Mark Wahlberg into John Wick, and he just like weeds out corruption in the Boston police force. That's the movie I've been waiting for, but you know,
I forget that Marky Mark is the only guy that lives in that movie.
yeah, I mean,
All the actors.
he's the biggest masshole in the film and the hero, which I don't even know what that says about Boston, but.
He looked damn good in that underwear though.
So
he was a very good underwear model in his youth.
All right, cool it, Danny. So what you missed in the second half was arguably the best. Well, not arguably. I mean, it was the largest comeback in Super Bowl history by like, I think the biggest deficit ever overcome was something like 10 points. Tom Brady.
Wow.
Tom Brady throws the ball like 65 times. Connects 45 out of 65, something crazy. The Falcons literally have their backs broken. I don't know how you ever recover from that psychologically. Like, they had that thing locked up. First overtime in Super Bowl history, unbelievable game. I'm sure all of our listeners probably saw it, unlike Danny and Mark Wahlberg. But yeah, pretty cool. I don't like Tom Brady anymore, but I gotta respect it. I gotta say he's probably the greatest quarterback of all time. I mean, even as a Boston hater, which I am, I don't think there's an argument to be made that he's not.
Do you think Trump put him on one table and then like a virgin on the other table and then attached the two of them by IVs and then he just had the blood of the virgin sucked into his body?
I mean, nothing would surprise me. And I was saying this I had a little Super Bowl party, little watch party. I was saying this during the game, and a bunch of columnists got really smart, stole my idea today, and we're writing about this. But my whole thing, I was like, listen, a win for the Patriots is a win for Donald Trump. I'm like, these are all Trump guys. Like, Kraft is a Trump guy. Tom Brady is a huge Trump guy.
Yeah.
They're the whitest team in the whitest state, and they're just bullies. And then you've got the Falcons in Atlanta representing the vanguard, the future, high powered, and they lost. And with that, the middle class lost. And that's what really bums me out about the Super Bowl. Trump won the Super Bowl with the Patriots win, and that's what kills me the most.
I know. And I also am looking at Tom Brady's diet right now. And I don't like it, but I also wish I could afford it. Do you know what I mean?
What's he eat? I don't know what his diet. What is Tom Brady eating?
80% vegetables, the freshest vegetables. If it's not organic, I don't use it. Whole grains, brown rice, quinoa, millet, beans. The other 20% is lean meats, grass-fed, organic steak, duck every now and again, chicken, but it's mostly wild salmon. And he has no white sugar, no white flour, no MSG, raw olive oil. So I never cook with olive oil. I only cook with coconut oil. Fats like canola oil into trans fat. Himalayan pink salt as the sodium. Never any iodized salt. He also doesn't eat nightshades because they're not anti-inflammatory. No tomatoes, peppers, mushrooms, eggplants, tomatoes, trickle in every now and again. Cautious about tomatoes. No coffee, no caffeine, no fungus, no dairy. So I don't know what he eats, but nothing I can afford.
I mean, Jesus, that's intense. That just doesn't sound like much fun. And I'm sure it's not. I mean, I'm sure a lot of things Tom Brady does to win 5 Super Bowls aren't like what I would consider fun. But I mean,
Marcus, I miss the days when our athletes were, have you ever seen that photo of Babe Ruth and he's in between a doubleheader and he has like 12 hot dogs and like 12 Dr. Peppers? Like when men were men,
right?
They'd like smoke a whole pack and then they'd go out, and they'd lob a few balls over, like hit a few home runs. Call me crazy. I miss that. I miss that era.
I mean,
I'm tired of this quinoa stuff.
Yeah, I just you should just pay attention to non-Super Bowl winning players like Odell Beckham Jr. because he does a lot of that shit. He just doesn't win Super Bowls. I mean that's the difference.
But is it just gene? Is it diet or is it just your genes? Like, is Tom Brady just like a freak?
Yeah,
is that it?
I think
like
it's
Lance
both.
Armstrong, where he has like big lungs.
I think it's both. I mean, I think he's definitely probably got some genetic gifts. I mean, just outside of aging, his like he probably has better eyesight than I could ever imagine. I mean, he's probably like weirdly gifted in ways I don't even know about. But yeah, I think the diet doesn't hurt. I mean, you take care of yourself, you're going to extend your timeline. But I mean, he might be the first quarterback who's like 45 and in the playoffs. I think it's possible, especially with some of that the medical stuff he has.
He's not retiring?
To. Oh no, I don't. I doubt it. He can still play.
He
had like the best. He had one of the statistically best seasons of his career. He won a Super Bowl. He was Super Bowl MVP. He set a record for yards thrown in a Super Bowl. I don't see him as the guy that's just like, oh, I broke the records. I won the Super Bowl. Most Super Bowls for a quarterback. Most Super Bowl MVPs. I broke those records, so I'm just going to hang it up. No.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. Tom Brady's old news to me. He's just this old guy. And apparently, if he wants to have some comfort food, this is it, Marcus. Quinoa with wilted greens. It can be Swiss chard, kale or bee greens, garlic in toasted coconut oil with some toasted almonds, cashew sauce, and lime curry. Maybe some lemongrass and a little bit of ginger. I mean, Tom Brady is shitting his brains out all the time.
Yeah.
You know how much you would shit if you ate this every day? You would shit constantly.
Well, if you ever read, so what he's probably doing is like reading the magazines that Giselle is photographed for. Because if you ever like pick up a Cosmo or like one of these magazines, like they always have like weight loss secrets and like all these different things, and they're all poop. It's all pooping. Like that's the point. It's always just like drink a lot more water so you can shit more. Eat more vegetables so you can shit more. Like eat whole grains so you can poop more. Like it's all about pooping. So maybe there's something to it, and Tom Brady's figured it out. I don't know, but yeah, he's taking a lot of fiber.
You got to poop a lot if you want to win the Super Bowl. So fuck Tom Brady. Let's move on to signing day. A little bit of controversy, Marcus. We finished out of the top 25.
Yeah.
For the first time like ever. 26. We've received some criticism. You even sent me an article. Alabama's throwing shade at us and making fun of our recruiting class. What do you think? I mean, is it dire, or does Tom Herman know what he's doing?
I think a lot of what Tom Herman has to do right now is manage expectations. I've said this. He needs to manage expectations. So this kind of, I mean, in a sense, this kind of plays along with that, right? It's like, if you have an outstanding recruiting class, it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on next season, because it's like, oh, well, you had a top 10 recruiting class, so you better be a top 10 team. And that's probably not going to happen, right? Like, the coach just got fired. They hired another coach. Like, he's installing his system, his personnel. He's getting the kind of players he wants to work with in, not the kind of players Charlie Strong recruited. And maybe they're the same, maybe they're not. I don't really know. But, I think next year is – I think what you're going to hear from Tom Herman and from the staff is like 2018. It's all eyes on 2018. It's like, well, yeah, this recruiting class, we're pretty happy with XYZ. We're really looking forward to 2018 and seeing what we can do. I think that's what it's all about. So, yeah, that's my take.
I hear you. I also heard him say something. I think the quote was, okay, yeah, the huddle in these rating systems, they can see what this guy is like doing out on the field, but they can't rip open his chest, see what's in his heart. So Tom Herman plans to rip open the chest of some of these young boys, see what's in their heart.
Yeah, and I mean, listen,
what do you think?
I think there's something to be said for this idea that like these like preseason rankings of player are to borrow a phrase from a friend of the show, fake news. That these sort of ranks are just kind of bullshit to begin with. And if you look at like our recruiting class, and you can look at our best recruiting classes, like, did we win a championship the next year? And the answer is normally no. No, he didn't. So
Dante Foreman also was a like 1.5 or 2-star recruit. I think same with Colt McCoy. He was maybe 2. I think he had moved up to 3 at the end of the recruiting cycle. And we all know our baby boy. I mean, you know how good he was.
yeah, no, I mean we all miss those days. But I mean exactly right. So you've got like some of the best players to walk through the door that weren't really on the radar. They're Tom Brady's, right? Picked in the 6th round.
Yeah,
couldn't get a scholarship offer, right? And then he's the most winningest quarterback in football. It's like so I'm kind of like I don't think it's BS. I'm with Herman here. He's set in the living. He knows they're character guys, high IQ, character football guys, set in their living room. I've eaten the gumbo. I believe, right? Plus, we got that JUCO linebacker stud. That's the most exciting thing. I think I'm more excited about him than Sam Ehlinger, actually.
Yeah, I mean him. Also, I mean Josh Rowland, the kicker, he's ranked number 1 nationally as a kicker, but he's only a 3-star, for example, which is really funny. I mean, Gary Johnson's amazing. Montrell Estelle, unbelievable athlete. I think we've got like 7 4-stars that are all ranked really high. I mean, people are saying that we didn't get a top 10 player, but for junior college we did. So I don't know. So also he's loaded. He's loaded. Besides that, how much do you think recruiting a player to play at your school is flirting with the mom? How much? Like what percentage of it is that?
What do you like? You have to engage organized crime to recruit top players? Is that what do you? I don't understand the question.
Well, that you go to the house. You're saying you have the gumbo, right? But does that mean you're also maybe sleeping with the recruits' moms?
I mean, certainly crazier things have happened. An interesting fact I learned, maybe not so publicized. Nick Saban owns 2 Mercedes dealerships. I mean, how many of those cars just disappear off the lot? Owner,
really,
assistant GM,
Nick Saban
says,
"Hey,
I need a loaner, and I don't know how long I'm going to need it for, so take it off inventory." I mean, is that happening? Yeah, of course it is. For sure, it's happening.
Has anybody audited this? Has anybody looked? I mean, the state of Alabama's obviously not looked into this, as he's their number 1 financial. He's the number 1 piece in the financial cog of Alabama's economy. But
listen,
wow.
Rich dudes in the South are so rich and so bored and so passionate about college football that I'm sure some booster has paid for like deep investigation into Nick Saban's finances and affairs. Like my guess is if there's something to find about Nick Saban that's like publicly accessible, somebody's paid to have it found. Right? Because wouldn't you, like, if you're Tennessee, or if you're like LSU, or you're, if you're a big conference competitor, you have to. I mean, Alabama has to go away. Like Nick Saban has to go away for you to succeed. So,
but if there's a risk involved there, because if Saban learns that you've come trying to dig up some dirt at Saban's, I don't know, his dealership, whatever kind of car it is, isn't he going to send his goons after you? Like, isn't he sending guys to go like set Lane Kiffin's sewage factory or sewage place on fire again? Or I don't know, you don't want to fuck with Saban.
I mean, I get it, but it's like, if I'm a billionaire, if I'm T. Boone Pickens in Oklahoma, I mean, obviously not an SEC school, but if I'm a billionaire with a ton of money and a lot of independence, and I'm just a booster, yeah, dude, yeah, 25, yeah, I'll do it. I'll throw down 25 grand to see if I can dig up any kind of dirt on the Alabama program and get them sanctioned. Give them a postseason ban. Absolutely, oh, that'd be money well spent.
Who would win in a game of outsmart you, like if they were generals? Would you rather have Vladimir Putin on your side or Nick Saban?
Probably Putin. Probably Putin.
Not a real fan.
Probably Putin, because I mean we've all seen the power of disinformation, and Putin is like,
Yeah.
I love his KGB shit. I mean that guy's a straight gangster. I mean that in the worst way. Like he's a scary dude. And he invaded a country like within the last few years. He invaded Ukraine and annexed part of it. So just by his qualifications on that alone, I'm probably going to go Putin.
Okay, Putin did invade a sovereign nation and annex it, but Nick Saban's won a lot of titles in the last 5 years. So
Now Bill Belichick or Putin, that's a tougher one. But I mean, but to put it in perspective, like,
is he more diabolical than Saban?
Belichick? Yeah, man. Bill's doing it at the highest level. Saban couldn't hack it in the NFL. He couldn't do it in the NFL. Belichick's the best NFL coach ever lived. But even to that point, you heard about this story with how Robert Kraft gave his Super Bowl ring to Putin. Well, gave is like a generous way to put it.
Well, no, I didn't. Do they have any suspicion as to or guesses as to why that happened?
Yeah, no. So like Robert Kraft meets Putin. Putin's like, "Can I see your ring?" And he's like, "Sure." And Putin puts it on and walks away. Like they're in Russia. Like literally, it's like him and his bodyguards. Puts it on and walks away. And Robert Kraft is just like, "Well, not going to see that again." That's a story that Robert Kraft is like verified. Like that happened. Putin just straight up was like, "That's my Super Bowl ring now. Thank you."
That is really funny that he's like, "Yeah, I won that. Yeah, I won the Super Bowl."
Yeah. So
you want to win the Super Bowl? Vote for me. You don't know what it is? You're going to jail.
You're going to jail. Yeah. You don't know what it
going
is.
Going to the fucking gulags if you don't know. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. This did happen.
Yeah. No, this is a real thing. So let's get, because I don't want us to run too long today. Let's talk about Baylor. Let's talk about.
God, Baylor. Things are. Wow. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better over there, it does. And by better, I mean a fucking dumpster fire. Text messages have come out from court documents. And, by the way, while this was happening, Art Briles was suing Baylor for, I think you said conspiracy, right?
For libel and conspiracy. So
for libel, there's conspiracy against Art Briles.
They're selling conspiracy against him. My good name. My honest name is being dragged through the press. So he sues Baylor. Now, funny thing, a couple weeks ago, Art decides to drop that lawsuit. He just wants some peace and quiet in his life, which is usually why people drop libel lawsuits, because when people lie about them, they're just like, yeah, you know what, forget it. They lied. I know they lied. I can prove they lied, but forget about it. No, usually when you drop a libel lawsuit, it's because like somebody was like, really though? You sure you want to do this? And Baylor has since come out with some pretty incendiary text messages that Art Briles was sending. Do you have those updating?
Yeah, I've got, okay. So February 11, 2013, assistant coach notified Coach Briles of a claim by a female student athlete that a football player brandished a gun at her. Coach Briles responded, "What a fool. She reporting to authorities?" And then she's acting traumatized. And then he asked his assistant, "You got to talk to him?" And the assistant says, "Yes, sir, just did. Caught him on the way to class, squeezed him pretty good." So the player took a gun out at a woman that he wanted to sleep with, and she's called a fool by Briles. So it's really dark.
Yeah, it's a lot of him like who do I need to call? Like who do I need to call to make this go away? Like let me try and talk to so and so in judicial affairs.
And who is the guy that he's calling? Is it Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men?
Right.
Like, is it just a guy in one of those old timey tuxedos sitting in a room with a phone? Like what? Like when he says, so Schilling Law sent a text to Coach Briles about a player who got a massage and exposed himself and asks for favors. So she has a lawyer but wants us to handle with discipline and counseling. And then Coach Briles says, what kind of discipline? She a stripper? That doesn't even make sense. I don't even know. What does that mean?
I think he's just trying to assign the value of her life. He's trying to put it on a scale he understands. Is this a person that I respect and should care about, or is this just some dumb woman, some stripper? I think that's where he's
and
trying
then Briles
to go.
is like, oh, I get it. And then it makes more sense because Briles is like, well, where did he make this request? And then his assistant says, a salon and spa. And then Briles texts back, not quite as bad.
Right, which, I don't know where, I mean, it's bad.
If any of you listening don't know, if you ask for a blowjob in a public setting, you probably go to jail.
Well, or you're
just saying that might happen.
Yeah,
unless you go to Baylor.
Yeah, unless you go to Baylor, in which case the head coach will not even personally address you about it. He will send an assistant. I mean, it paints such a lazy, bad picture, not only of just how complicit he was in sort of knowing about all these incidents and doing nothing, but how the lack of accountability from him to any of his players. I mean, so much of this stuff you'll see in the text just gets farmed through as subordinates, assistants, and I mean it's really bad. But in his lawyer's words, he dropped that lawsuit not because these text messages exist, but because they just overloaded him with an endless supply of money, lawyers, resources, facts, and no restraints on anything they'll do to achieve their goals. Art just wants some peace in his life for him and his family. He just wants some peace in his life. Probably just sit kind of like the 52 rape victims probably wanted peace in their lives. What about September 28, 2013? Player arrested for assault and threatening to kill a non-athlete. The athletics director, Ian McCaw, replies to it, that would be great if they kept it quiet. These guys, what I don't understand is why weren't they just subtle about it, or just even just talk, they were so cavalier? Does that come from just being the king of Waco? They thought that the rest of the world had kind of forgot about them? Is it like being in a lower tax bracket where you're like, I don't get audited? What? I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, I think Waco PD doesn't look great in these exchanges either. They seem to keep a lot of things on the down low. Listen, man. I mean, I don't think it's about. I think it's integrity, right? I think if somebody pulls out a gun and points it at a student, or brandishes a gun that's a football player, in a lot of programs they're gone. That's that's a no-brainer. And in a lot of it, a lot of levels of football, that would not be tolerated. So there's definitely a pattern of just don't ask, don't tell, just make sure it stays quiet. And that was the only thing that mattered was, let's make sure we can get 52 guys out there on the field and play some football. I mean, he lost his job. Baylor is disgraced. There's a lawsuit alleging 52 rapes committed by 31 players over a 3-year span. Over 3 years. Jesus Christ. I mean, Baylor is so just at the beginning. So, yeah. But you know who the people I dislike the most here are the parents who this year let their kids go to Baylor because they didn't have a terrible recruiting class. I mean, in the Big 12, it wasn't that bad. Nationally, not that great. But they had a lot of 3-star recruits. They flipped players. And this is all coming out, and your parents are like, yeah, totally. Seems like a great environment. Okay, why don't you go down there? Okay, so I'm actually going to disagree with that because that sort of punishes. Now you're punishing the kid, right? Because Briles is no longer there, and it was his program. He's no longer there, and if you're a high school student, and Baylor's not a bad school. I mean, I'm never going to say that on air again, but if you were offered a scholarship from Baylor and maybe not from another school in Texas or not another D1 program, you take that scholarship, right? I mean, that's just you're not gonna turn that down because Art Briles is a huge dick.
I don't know. It just seems like they haven't. More is going to come out, and probably more maybe sanctions or something. I mean, if USC got the death penalty or whatever because they, gave a few players that were really good cars and like helped out their families that were in really bad economic situations, but Baylor doesn't get anything when there were this many rapes there during that time. I don't know. It seems crazy to me. Like maybe you should look ahead and like, stuff's coming out. Might be a good idea to steer clear of this, as we said, dumpster fire. I don't know. And the fact that they were recruiting players with the question, do you like white girls? And because we have a lot of them and they love football players. This is coaches just pitching. And I think that was from his son. That's what people said, who is now coach. I don't remember where his son went, but his son is now coaching somewhere.
Well, we hired Casey Horney, who's like a Bryles truther. So we'll keep an eye on this guy.
Last name.
We'll keep an eye on this.
Yeah,
guy.
Bryles truther with his last name Horney. And Tom Herman was like, I had a serious conversation with him, which kind of reminded me of when President Bush II was like, I looked in Putin's eyes. I saw his soul. He's a good man. You're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, did you though? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, anytime we can shit on Baylor, good. Fuck that program. So I think it's time to get to our special guest, who I don't know if I'm excited about it. I'm a little nervous about Alex Jones. Marcus, can you explain to everybody who Alex Jones is?
Yeah. So Alex Jones is like, would be considered like an alt-right sort of major media figure for that group of people. He runs a website called InfoWars, which is just like this conspiracy laden. I mean, it's a fucking rabbit hole you may not want to go down. But I mean, anything from like, he's big into the story that like Hillary Clinton, John Podesta, and Barack Obama were running a pedophilia ring from the White House. Basically that globalists are trying to like hijack and take over the world. He's a chemtrail guy. He's like, I mean, literally, if there's a conspiracy, and I've heard him talk about some crazy shit. I mean, like, he starts talking about other dimensions and how there's dark forces that are influencing like the media elite and liberal elite in America. I mean, millions of people listen to this guy. So it's pretty exciting to have him on the show because he's such he's a really well-known figure. I don't really know why he agreed to be on our show because we're not necessarily like, I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the things that he says, but he's a good sport. He said he would come on. So we're going to bring him on for Conspiracy Corner. It's a new segment we're doing, Conspiracy Corner with Alex Jones from InfoWars. Dan, do you know what conspiracy
Alex,
he's talking about today? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, well, I have an idea. I think it's regarding the Super Bowl last night. I mean, I was aloof because I turned the game off early, but I think he thinks they won. I think he thinks the Falcons won the game. I mean, that's what he's saying. He's saying there's information we don't have that he has. So let's bring him out. Let's talk to him about it.
Hey guys, this is Alex Jones over here. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Absolutely, Alex. It's a pleasure to have you on. You're so famous. You're like 548,000 Twitter followers, a huge podcast, InfoWars. Alex, what's the secret?
You know what, Danny? It's uncovering truth. It's doing the research. It's finding the sources. And it's looking at a lot of documents, bringing the truth to the people, bringing truth to power. And, that's what the people do. That's what they listened to before. That's what they expect out of Alex Jones and InfoWars. That's what I bring.
Man, Alex, I totally understand you. That's, people come to this show for Marcus and I's hard-hitting analysis. I mean, you can't find better analysis anywhere with all of our research and our team of interns that work, so I totally get it. Now, what I want to dig into today is your new theory that you came up with, I think, last night. So could you please get into it on what you think happened in the Super Bowl?
Okay, well, first of all, before I even get into that, okay, because this is big stuff. Are you ready for this? This is big.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. I don't know if you saw, I watched it, I've been telling my listeners to stay away from the halftime show for a long time now because Lady Gaga.
Really? Wait, why?
Lady Gaga.
Why aren't they allowed
Danny,
to go to that?
You need to listen. You need to listen to this. Lady Gaga is
Okay,
a
I'm
global.
listening.
She's a globalist. She's a leftist, and she is in cahoots with the devil himself to brainwash our children. And she did this through the halftime show. What you thought you saw, was her standing in front of an American flag. There were subliminal images.
Yeah.
There were subliminal code
really?
in those lights. They were speaking to the children. So I did not. I'm a grown man. I eat a lot of steak and I drink bourbon. I did not let
Yeah.
my kids watch this. They could not handle it. They weren't ready to see that truth. So first of all, I hope you're okay, and I hope you don't have crazy ideas that maybe if you're feeling weird, if anything seems off today, if maybe you're not really sure, something feels like it's just not right, and you watch the halftime show, you might have been affected. So just don't let the lies get to you.
I thought that it might just be that it's Monday and I didn't really want to go to work. And I was just kind of like tired, but you think it's maybe because of Lady Gaga's subliminal halftime messages?
Danny, she is in cahoots with the devil himself. I have seen the sources. I pride myself on doing deep research. I heard from a former director. Danny, this truth needs to be heard.
Where do you do this research?
A former head of FBI covert operations.
Okay.
Have I ever been known to lie about a source? The answer is no. It told me directly that Lady Gaga is using drone technology to deliver subliminal messages, to children, to try and recruit them.
I thought she was just writing club like bangers, stuff I want to move my hips to.
That's all part of the plan, Danny. Because what she's trying to recruit them for, sex rings. She's trying to recruit the children for sex rings, and the music is just another part of that. I could go on. I could talk about this for days. I don't think we've got the time, but this is big news. This is you heard it here first. This is big news. Okay, now.
Okay. All right. Hey. All right. Okay. Maybe it's true. But what about you had another theory regarding the Super Bowl, right?
Well, what you're going to hear from MSM, the mainstream media, the leftist globalist elite, is that the Patriots won the Super Bowl. Okay, that
was on the scoreboard at the end of the game.
Yep, that's the narrative that has been constructed by MSM because they want you to think that anything can happen in this world. Okay, they're trying to give you it's a false flag operation. They're trying to pull the wool over your eyes and say, you too, maybe you could come back from a 28-point deficit. We know it's impossible, Danny. We've done the research.
Shit,
it's not possible. What happened last night? It's not possible. Okay.
I can't do it. Yeah, because it made me inspired. Made me think that if I work hard and eat Tom Brady's diet, maybe I could overcome the odds.
Oh yeah, what did they tell you? Yeah, that if you eat a lot of quinoa and sea trout, that you're gonna be able to live forever. Yeah, that's a MSM lie.
I mean, wild salmon, but
that's an MSM lie. Okay, and they do it with Gaga. I think they've gotten to Brady. I don't know. I think he's a good guy. I like him a lot. But that what happened last night was a fraud. And the Falcons won that game. The Falcons won. You're not going to hear that from MSM. I'm the only person that's going to give you that truth. Okay.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah. It just looked like when the Patriots ran the ball into the end zone at the end of the game and the points went in their favor, it looked like they won. But I haven't done the research that you've done. I haven't done the research.
Danny, I've got the sources. Okay, I've seen the documents. I saw the actual result of that game. Okay, the actual result was Atlanta 48 and the Patriots 23. I've seen the actual stat lines. I've seen them. Okay, all right. Now I've got sources.
Like you were watching.
I've got sources high. I've got sources high in the NFL. All right. Really, in Goodell's office, I've seen all this. Is all MSM, Roger Goodell, protecting the shield, protecting the globalists, protecting the left. Okay, this is all part of the machine, Danny. All right, you got to open your eyes. And I know it's tough. You don't want to hear this. People don't want to know. But this is the kind of truth that I have to bring to people.
They're open as wide as they can be, but I have contacts, so I occasionally have to blink. But I'm definitely not going to blink on your analysis. Alex Jones, thank you so much for coming on the show. And apparently, the Falcons won.
Pleasure to be here.
Marcus, what a crazy. I don't even want to say crazy. I mean, informative guy. I think I'm a fan now. I think I believe what he said.
He's how to best describe Alex Jones. He's overwhelming. He's overwhelming. But
what's he doing now?
He's got some.
Is he still there?
No, he actually he got up, threw off his headphones, ran out, sprinted out the door. And that's exactly how he came in though too. So I don't. He
just ran in.
He ran right in. He put his headphones on. We started the interview
because he's got to get to the source. Do you think? Do you think his favorite magazine is The Source?
I think his favorite award show is the Source Awards.
I wonder if he started The Source, and because he thought that was the source. Maybe that's where he gets all his info from. I don't know.
Well, I know he's not getting it.
That alt-right magazine, The Source.
I know he's not getting it from MSM. I know he's not getting it from the mainstream media. He makes that very clear. Like,
I thought when you said MSM, I thought you meant MSNBC. That was his short.
No, MSM's mainstream media. Yeah, it's the mainstream media. So he's not a fan. But you don't have to talk to him for very long to figure that out. I mean, he gets after that. So
are we the? But it makes me question, Marcus, are we the mainstream media?
I think that he's kind of okay with us because we were in this. I mean, again, like, you know, if we were to really go through all of our points of views, I don't think you and I and Alex Jones have a lot in common. But we're outside. Right. We're not a government funded sort of media entity. His what he talks about is how it's totally disrupted podcasting. You know, like us, we have hundreds of thousands of listeners. So we've got like this alternate distribution channel, which I think he supports. So I think that's the only reason he came on the show, honestly.
I'm starting to buy into this because, for example, sometimes it looks like only a few hundred people listen to our podcast. But then when I think about it, I mean, and I do the research, maybe it's actually 200,000. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday. I think the analytics are just missing some of the zeros. I think they're just not showing up.
Yes.
On the screen because they're there, right? I mean, they're there. So,
Marcus, how much would someone have to pay you to make out with Alex Jones for 14 hours straight?
I don't think there's a number. I don't. Yeah, I'm going to say no. Is no an answer? Because if the answer is no.
I think you need to have. I think in this game, you got to have a number. You got to have a financial number.
All right, then I'd want like fuck you money. I'd want like $100 million, maybe 250. You know.
Well, the thing is, my rent, is about $1,000 a month. So, I mean, $12,000. That's a year of rent, and all I got to do is make out with Alex Jones for 14 hours. I don't know. I think I might do it.
Well, we've all got standards, Danny. So,
well, Marcus, I think that was a great show. I'm so glad we had Alex Jones on. I feel so informed now. We talked about Super Bowl. I don't know. I mean, I'm stoked about it. Are you excited about the rest of the week?
I am. It was a great show. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Please like this, share this, tell your friends about this. All jokes aside, we are trying to get our voices out there. So if you like it, share it with your friends. Tune in next week. I'm sure we'll have something great to tell you.
Exactly. All right. Talk to you later.
You are listening to the Longhorn Podcast. The Longhorn Podcast.
End zone ahead, folks. Touchdown, Longhorns.
With Danny. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. And Marcus. Does somebody know the number for Pluckers? Released once a week, every Tuesday. Much better than all those other Longhorn podcasts. You are listening to the Longhorn Podcast. To the Longhorn Podcast.